Today I'll be installing a Thurin sway bar meant for off-road. Get rid of the stock ginormous sway bar that was meant for towing. It's a Generation 2 Dodge Ram 2500 with the V10 engine. Thurin sway bar. I've already taken down the old sway bar. Those are the mounts right there. I already have a lift kit on this truck. It's a 5-inch lift. I don't have a cameraman, so I'll be doing jump cuts. Is what it is. But here goes, guys. Alright, I've got the sway bar loosely installed. Don't have the end links on yet. Just have the bolts in. I definitely recommend having a buddy help you do this, because this bar is heavy and will smack you in the head, knock your teeth out. So you have to reuse your stock hardware. Thurin does not supply you new bolts, and they do not supply you the drop bracket. If you already have a lift kit, you will have to reuse it. Pain in the butt by yourself. All right, I'm gonna firm those up a little bit and work on the end links. So they're nice and snugged up now. Nothing crazy tight. I did use nylocks. They're ready for the end links. So on 1998 to I think it's 2000 Dodge Rams, these holes are tapered, and they take a tapered style end link. This bolt that they supply you with will not go through. It's just a little bit on the end. Won't go through. You got to drill it out. You'll need a 1/2-inch drill. 1/2-inch drill bit, that is. Doesn't take much, just drill it out. That was super easy. Took almost no effort at all. Now the bolt just goes right through. Easy peasy. So the end links, they go towards the inside. I've seen people mount them on the outside. Don't do that. That's bad. And see the bushings that I put in there? One end has a collar on the end, a flare. The other side does not. The collar side is going to go up against the engine mount, or the shock mount over here. Same thing with this. It's going to go on the inside of the sway bar with that flare side touching the sway bar. There's no information about that either. Same thing on the other side. Do not mount it like this. These are meant to rub up against the sway bar on the inside and on the inside of here. And you want the Zerk fittings facing outside, or you won't be able to grease it. Okay, I've got the lower bolt in. So you want the nut on this side and the bolt going through this side. There's no information about that either. The bolt's got a flared head on it. That's why it goes on this side. Let's put that top bolt in. You see I've got the flared end facing the inside of the sway bar. Sorry for the lighting. And it's not flared here, but the bolt itself has a flare on the top. Pain in the butt doing it by yourself, but I'll get it done. All right. Sweet. Nut goes on the outside, not the inside. All right. You tighten those up afterwards. Zerk fittings face the front of the truck. If you put them on the back, you're not going to be able to get to them because the spring's in the way and the suspension's in the way back here. You won't be able to grease it. So Zerk fittings in the front. Links on the inside towards the engine. Do not mount them on the outside. All right, let's do the other side. So this Thurin sway bar is meant for off-roading, better articulation. The stock one is super stiff, meant for towing, general use. So they did not include any lock washers or a nylock. I would not recommend going without at least some Loctite on those threads. I've been there and done that too many times and bolts have come loose. Let's get some Loctite on there. A little bit too much. Let's spread it out. Sorry about the lighting. I know. Working alone. Loctite, good stuff. Use the blue, don't use the red. You'll never get it off, or you'll have to torch it to get it off. Do that for the upper and the lower. I recommend Loctiting them both, of course. So installing the sleeves, they already come on the bolt. Just take them off. Pop right in. Don't need to beat them in or anything. So I want them on this side because it's going to be up against the sway bar on this side. If you don't have room, you can flip them around and put them there. It'll give you another 1/8 inch or so. Time to do the driver's side. I've already drilled out that hole to 1/2 inch. Doesn't take much. You can see the shiny part where the drill touched. I mean, it's just barely anything. All right, I'm gonna get to it. Oh, and let's see. 3/4 inch. That's the size of the nuts and the bolt heads. So get yourself a 3/4 socket and wrench. So in order to get this top one in, I installed the bottom first, super easy. In order to get that one in, I had to lay underneath and pull down with everything I had while pushing that bolt through. Wasn't too bad, but having a friend push down with his foot or something on here would have been nice. You can do it. It's just a little tough. Maybe 100 pounds I had to pull down. Wasn't too bad. Make sure the Zerks are facing front and the sleeve, the flared end of that sleeve that goes through is in between these two. If you don't have room, you can put it here, but I have plenty of room here. Nice big gap. So you can see the sleeve in there, the flare. Wasn't too bad. Just 2 people would have been nice. 2 people it would have been nice in retrospect. All right, let me put some Loctite on those threads and we'll get it torqued up. So I'm about to install these spacing collars. These keep the sway bar from moving side to side. and they go either here or here. You can put them on the inside or the outside. I'll probably put them here. So don't put these on until you've gone for a little ride down the street, go around some corners and stuff, because this is gonna move. This is just sitting here because you put it here. This thing's gonna move around just a little bit. You don't want these to bind up. So let it find its natural home and then tighten these up. You can loosely put them on here further away for now, but don't firm them up till you go for a little ride first. You may end up breaking them or something. They'll end up binding. So as expensive as the Thurin kit is, they don't give you an Allen wrench. A little 5-cent cheap Allen wrench. So it's a 3/16 Allen wrench. All right, I'm gonna loosely install those, go for a ride and come back, and then we'll tighten them up. These are just aluminum. Do not over tighten them. You'll strip out the threads, you can crack them. It's just to hold the spacing. They're not holding tons of torque. You don't need to clamp the living shit out of them. All right, to be continued. So I made a mistake on this side. I didn't notice I put the Zerk fittings facing down, which makes them difficult to get to, and that one impossible to get to because it's gonna hit that bar. Here's the correct way, pointing up, nothing in the way. All right, I need to switch the other one over and make it just like this one here. Zerk's facing up. All right. So don't bother going for a ride to try and get these end links to adjust where they want to. It ended up sliding all the way to the side. So just center it up. Use a dead blow on here to make sure these are nice and parallel, nice and straight and even. They are. And just use your clamps. So I put Loctite on here because you really can't tighten these much. They're just aluminum clamps. You're gonna pull out the threads or crack them in half. So use a little blue Loctite and don't go crazy. Just center it up and put them in. All right, fully installed. I just greased them all. It took about 2 pumps each into the Zerk fittings before you started seeing some grease. Then to take it for a ride and see how it rolls. It's supposed to flex a lot more than the stock sway bar here. That's aftermarket polyurethane bushing. The stock ones rotted away years ago. But this thing's a beast. It's huge. The other one's quite a bit smaller diameter. Wasn't too bad of an install. So those of you that have hung around this long, here's some eye candy. Here's the V10 Dodge engine, truck V10, 300,000 miles on it. I did finally do a mild rebuild. Started getting some fluid, actually coolant, in the oil. Thought it was a blown head gasket, but it was just a lower intake manifold gasket leak. But replaced the bearings, did a mild rebuild on it. Runs like a Swiss watch. That's a custom intake snorkel I made out of silicone tubes. Just got that stuff off of eBay. I have a separate video on that. Terminated it down to here. The reason I did that is because I do stream crossings, and the stock snorkel goes down all the way to the frame, about 15-18 inches down, and I don't like that. So I routed it up here as high as possible. There's plenty of fresh air coming in right there. Anyway, there's a separate video on that. That's the V10. Replaced the stock fans with dual electrics and made a custom aluminum shroud for it. Super easy. Did a little TIG welds on the ends. New wires, new coils. If you're gonna rebuild it, might as well make it nice. Higher amp alternator. I believe that's a 160 I put in there. Stock I think was like 90 amps, somewhere around there. It's been a great truck.